What's good, everybody? Azzy Huncho back in the building, and we back with another episode of SDG Sundays, aka Solely for the Glory Sundays. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're new here, go ahead and leave a comment, say what up, hey, I'm new, and click that subscribe button. It really helps my channel grow, and I really just want to spread, my joy, passion for games, as well as my faith in Jesus. And so, if you could do that, that'd be awesome. Love that you're here. If you're not familiar, SDG Sundays, SDG stands for Solely for the Glory. And like I said, everything I do, every video, every blog post, every future podcast, anything that I do, I want it to glorify God. And so every Sunday I want to do that in a deeper way and use a whole video to really talk about, real life things and relate them to Jesus and really just go deeper. And so today I'm going to be sharing a blog post that I wrote titled Wise Men, and it's going to relate to the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef that I'm sure you've heard about in some capacity. So let's just get straight into it. Wise men don't argue with fools because from a distance, you can't tell who's who. Now, if you paid any attention to current pop culture events, you would know that we're witnessing the hip-hop equivalent to the movie Avengers: Infinity War. Drake, one of the most influential and popular artists of all time and arguably the best in our current generation, is seemingly under attack from a huge host of other popular artists, lyrically of course. Artists like Future, Metro Boomin, The Weeknd, A$AP Rocky, Nav, Rick Ross, Pusha T, Kanye West, and his most formidable opponent, Kendrick Lamar, seem to have gathered like the Avengers to team up to defeat Drake once and for all with an array of diss tracks, albums, subtweets, scandals, and more. Of course, Drake, being the Thanos in this simile, isn't going down without a fight, and is seemingly holding his own against just about everyone, except for arguably Kendrick Lamar, who, if we want to power scale this effectively, he'll say he's like Captain America, or Captain Marvel, right? He's strong enough to go toe-to-toe with him, and it'd be an epic fight. But anyway, comic references aside, this rap beef has naturally taken media by storm. Of course, memes, Twitter arguments, Instagram comment wars, Gen Z TikTokers, and Facebook millennials have all flooded the internet with people dissecting each and every diss track, legions of scandals coming out, and each rapper making preposterous claims about the other with seemingly no evidence. It's been impossible the last few weeks to scroll on social media without seeing people debating who's the better rapper, who got a better diss track, what's going to happen next, what's worse, being a woman abuser or a child molester, like stuff like that, right? So I'm not going to get super deep into the details of this rap beef, but I will highlight three important characters who are known as the Big Three, which is initially coined by J. Cole and was the bomb that set this whole thing off from a song written by him and Drake, or probably Drake's ghostwriters, called First Person Shooter. This Big Three, according to Cole, is Aubrey Drake Graham, aka Drake, Jermaine Cole, aka J. Cole, and Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, aka Kendrick Lamar, no Duckworth. To get into the details, nor do I have to because there are plenty of articles, YouTube videos, TikToks, and tweets to get you all caught up. However, I will explain the current dynamic of the Big Three. After the song First Person Shooter, which Kendrick Lamar does not appear on, he addresses Cole's claims in another song, calling out Drake and J. Cole and making claims to be a better rapper than the both of them. F the Big Three, it's just me, Kendrick said. J. Cole, about a week or two later, he dropped a diss track in response, and then a couple nights later, at a concert, he publicly apologized to Kendrick Lamar and said he was no longer going to participate in a rap beef. Shortly after that, Drake drops a diss track of his own, and the war has since commenced. So you got two of the Big Three in a war of words, and J. Cole out in a neutral position, likely riding his bike around town and drinking apple juice. And that whole dynamic reminded me of the quote that you read earlier. Wise men don't argue with fools because from a distance you can't tell who's who. Or, as in Proverbs 26 verse 4, don't answer the foolish arguments of fools, or you'll be as foolish as they are. And for anyone who's listened to the diss tracks by Kendrick and Drake, you likely agree with me that the more songs they drop, the deeper it descends into madness. The more they reveal about one another, the more they subliminally reveal about themselves. The higher they try to put themselves up above each other, the lower they reveal themselves to be. To me, it's unappealing, inauthentic, and outright evil. The more I learn about these celebrities that have been showcased to me to be perfect people, the more I realize that Kendrick Duckworth and Aubrey Graham are just regular, normal, broken, shitty people just like the rest of us. And the casualty of this war isn't just the revealing of their own brokenness, but the brokenness of their families, their backgrounds, and their identities. At this point, it's not only Aubrey and Kendrick in the midst of this war, but their families and close friends who are getting brought into this as well. Now, their kids can't just be kids because two corrupted, broken, weird, insecure individuals with too much fame, money, and influence decided they couldn't deal with their own insecurities and chose to lash out at one another. At the end of the day, that's what it all looks like. Just two insecure 40-year-old rich men who are jealous of one another and trying to beat out each other so that their insecurities no longer exist. The only one who doesn't seem insecure, scared, or jealous is the one who believed in himself enough to say, yo, I'm actually good. And I don't care what anyone's going to say about me for apologizing, because I know who I am, and I know I'm bigger than a petty rap beef at almost 40 years old. So for me, Jermaine is the real winner here. His fans still love him. He's not getting any of his dirty laundry aired out for the world to see. And I truly believe, and perhaps this is a bit romanticized, but I truly believe that at the end of all this, Aubrey and Kendrick will look back on all this and wish they'd been the bigger man, like their peer and the true humble leader of the big three, in my opinion, Jermaine Cole. Who, by the way, is also the only one to go platinum with no features. Just thought I'd say that. Now, by no means was I a J. Cole fan before all of this, but I certainly have become a J. Cole fan. And like I said, I read that all, and I don't have much more to add to that. It's just getting real gross, and I'm like, ew, I don't want to support a guy who is abusing his children's mother, and I don't want to support someone who's taking the money that I give him to pay people who are being a pedophile. You see what I'm saying? It just makes both of them really look like the bad guy. And now J. Cole is everyone's making memes about, oh yeah, J. Cole is riding his bike around and drinking apple juice and, enjoying his life. Meanwhile, the rap game is at war, and good on him. He chose his piece and he knew his identity. Like I said, these men are almost 40. It really got me this is my thought for someone like you who's just a bystander in the midst of this all, is to not get sucked into this, right? We have such an addiction to toxicity and negativity and anger and beef and war and strife that it can take a toll on us as well. And I literally had to take a step back and say, bro, I'm pulling a J. Cole. I'm stepping out of this beef, bro. I can't deal with this anymore. It started to touch me. I started to obsess over it so much. I started to listen to every rap diss track ever made. Jay-Z versus Nas, Meek Mill and Drake and Pusha T, and of course the greatest one of all time, Tupac and Biggie. And we know how that ended, right? And that's the last thing that I would want. And already, as I'm recording this, we're already hearing news about Drake's house having, a drive-by shooting nearby or something like that. That's not how I want this to end. That's not how any of us should want it to end. And we should learn from our mistakes with rap beef, with Tupac and Biggie both paying the price of that. But the difference is, those guys were my age. Tupac was 25 when he died. Biggie was 24. Bro, Drake and Kendrick are 36 and 37. Bro, grow up. Who cares? Right? And so, anyway, me personally, J. Cole looks like the best rapper out of the three. He looks like the smartest man. And right now, he doesn't look like a pedophile or a woman abuser. So, in my eyes, he's the winner right here. And I'd rather listen to, if Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick Lamar all dropped an album right now, I'd want to listen to J. Cole's, just because I wouldn't feel bad about the man that I'm supporting. And so, in my opinion, J. Cole's the real winner. And the beef was kind of really petty. I'm not gonna sit here and say my opinion on what songs were better or whatever, because I don't want to influence that. But feel free to leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Share who you thought maybe won the rap beef. Share what you thought about J. Cole's decision. But please remember that quote: don't answer the foolish arguments of fools, or you'll be as foolish as they are. Wise men don't argue with fools, because from a distance you can't tell who's who. And at this point, I can't tell who's the biggest fool. Is it Kendrick? It's honestly a play on the J. Cole thing. Who is it? Is it K-Dot or is it Aubrey? Who is the bigger fool? At this point, you really can't tell. The wise man out of the three of them is J. Cole, because he stepped out early. So that's all I got. Thanks so much for listening. My name is Azzy Huncho, and it has been a blessing to sit and talk with you. Thanks for listening. Peace.